We have breaking news that Nikita Zadorov has requested a trade out of Calgary, and we have multiple reports saying that he's open to come to Toronto. We'll break all this down for you coming up on this episode of Hattrick HQ. But before we get into that, we are proud to say that this video is sponsored by Rentals.ca. The NHL season is back, and we are coming into the year with new stars, new potential generational prospects, and a whole new excitement as fans of the NHL. If you feel like you want the same sort of excitement in your own life, it's time for you to move as well. And it's never been easier than with Rentals.ca.
Rentals.ca is Canada's largest apartment hunting network. You can rent apartments, houses, condos, all across the country from coast to coast. The website's super clean and easy to use, and my favorite feature is the map. You can pinpoint exactly where you'll live next in your exact location.
Yeah, and as you've known, if you've been watching the channel, we have lots of buddies who have used Rentals.ca to find their own apartments, find their new homes. It's such a great website to use. If you're looking for a new apartment, looking for a new house, make sure to check out Rentals.ca in the description or in the pinned comment and let them know that we sent you. But with that said, let's get right into the first topic of the video today, and that is Zadorov requests a trade from Calgary. And as we take a look from Kevin Weeks here, fresh off a goal and a big hit in tonight's game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm told that Zadorov, through his agent, Dan Milstein, has requested a trade from the Calgary Flames. And Mark, this is huge news. Obviously, this is a guy who we've talked a lot about here on the channel. A big defenseman. We've seen that he was frustrated at times in Calgary, and it just seems like that frustration is boiling over now to him wanting to get out of there.
Yeah, that's the big thing. We've seen the Flames struggle so much this year to start the season. They can't get a lot of wins. They can't really get games to go their own ways. The goals have been scarce, and the defense has been a little rough. But one of the bright spots on the defense is, of course, Zadorov. I know we talked about him a lot, probably too much at times, but Zadorov's a massive guy, and I think just moving on from the Flames is probably in his best interest, and for the Flames as well, to be able to get some prospect picks, as this guy is a UFA, and obviously things aren't working out for both sides.
Yeah, I think we'll potentially see a lot of moves coming in the future for Calgary. I think they might slide their way into a little rebuild. Maybe they might just look to retool, but I think they definitely need to shake some things up to get that team back on track, because they do have a great roster on paper. It's just not working on the ice right now. Maybe they just need a couple of fresh faces in there. Maybe a couple of fresh faces from the Toronto Maple Leafs organization, which is what we're going to talk about next, and that is Zadorov is open to Toronto. And as we take a look here from Chris Johnston on Twitter, he says, with Zadorov looking to be traded out of Calgary, word is that the pending UFA defenseman would welcome a move to Toronto. And we're just going to take a look at his stats here. Obviously, you've probably seen him a lot here on the channel, but through 11 games, he has 4 points this season, 9 blocks, 23 hits, and last year he had 174 hits, 75 blocks with 21 points. And we obviously know that this guy is a huge hitter, and we're just going to show you the hit that he laid tonight against Bertuzzi. It was a massive one, like boom, it just laid him out there. It was an unbelievable hit. But Mark, obviously, this is a guy who we've discussed a lot, like we've said here, and a move for him to Toronto would be big, not just for him, but for the Toronto Maple Leafs in general. I know I've been vocal here on the channel about how much I love these defensive defensemen, and this is what you're getting in Zadorov, and I think he really helps the Leafs blue line out right now.
Yeah, that's the big thing. When you look at the game as its own, Zadorov had a beautiful snipe in the top corner during the game. He laid that big hit on Bertuzzi. He even got ready to challenge someone on the ice. No one did skate up, but he's this big missing piece that we are looking for. The Leafs have been criticized recently from playing soft, not doing too much on the end of physicality. But when you look at Zadorov, he brings everything you need. This is a guy that put up over 10 goals last year. He's a guy that's going to throw massive hits like we've seen with this Bertuzzi one. He's ready to fight anyone. And I think just putting him into this Leafs lineup would just be massive in the sense of you have this physical guy that can finally clear your net, finally lay those big hits, and it's not just on Ryan Reeves to fight anymore. You get a guy like Zadorov that can do this, and hopefully with these massive hits and fights between him and Reeves would almost send a shock through the lineup where other players start doing it. And the more hits you lay, the more your team wants to hit.
Yeah, definitely. And I know a lot of people that are watching this video right now are probably thinking, like, how would Toronto make this work? And I really do think that, if we can get Calgary to maybe half retain his salary, maybe even just 25% retain, just give up a little extra in the deal to get him to Toronto, I think that is worth it for sure, because this is a guy who you can make a deep playoff run with. You need these defensive type defenseman players on your team to make those deep runs, guys that are going to make it hard on the opponents. And as we take a look here, maybe some possible trade we might see is from the Toronto Marlies. We see that Bobby McMahon here was out due to precautionary reasons, and when we've seen this in the past, Mark, it means that they may be on the move really soon.
Yeah, that's a big thing. You see a lot of these guys get held out of the game. Sometimes this is maybe just a lingering issue, or they want to give them rest day. But a lot of the times when you do see this, this is around trade deadline or when a player is on his way out. Calgary was playing Toronto tonight. This is the situation. Maybe Brad Treliving was like, hey, we're going to hold you out. We are currently in trade talks. Obviously, with Zadorov coming out and making this statement, it just makes you wonder if this is why Bobby McMahon's held out. Bobby McMahon's a guy that can come in, fill out Calgary's middle six or bottom six, be a scoring winger that is long overdue to make it to the league. He couldn't make it on the Leafs, but I think he fits perfectly on Calgary. Maybe you do a deal where it's John Klingberg, Bobby McMahon, and a pick for a guy like Zadorov. Or if you wanted to keep Klingberg and use him in a different deal or hope things do turn around, you could do Bobby McMahon, maybe a couple filler pieces, Timmins if he is healthy, maybe a guy like Jake McCabe. But overall, I think Zadorov has to get to Toronto. I think this is a situation where Calgary leaves tomorrow. This man cannot be on that team plane. He has to be in Toronto. I want him to travel to Sweden. And I want everyone to start a summoning circle, whatever it takes. Zadorov to Toronto has to happen.
Brad's going to work his magic. He's a wizard up there in the booth. I really hope that this trade can get done, because we've talked about this guy so much that I just really want to see him in a Leafs uniform now. I know we've been speculating this for a couple of months now. It just seems like it's getting further along now, and it seems like something that we may see happen. And like you said, I think you could get this guy to Toronto fairly cheap, honestly, in my opinion. If you want to take his cap on, maybe you can, be less of a trade. But I think if you can, get him on retained salary, I think that's the best bet for Toronto right now. You might have to give up an extra pick or an extra prospect, whatever it may be, but it's definitely worth it, because I think this guy, like we said earlier in the video, he's frustrated in Calgary right now. He wants a fresh start, and there's no better place to do it than with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
And the big thing is too, when we're talking about value of Sidorov, obviously this is a guy that is going to be sought after. There's going to be a lot of teams making phone calls to Calgary tonight. I feel bad for how many phone calls they're probably going to have to answer. They're going to feel like a cab company. But the big thing with this is, with Zadorov demanding to be out, it drops his value for Calgary. Obviously, this is a valuable defenseman. Every team, like I said, does want him. But with him demanding out, obviously teams know they had to make a deal sooner rather than later. And this is not a situation where Calgary can be like, okay, we're going to sit on this guy, maybe wait a week or two, see how the value looks. Zadorov wants out. This is going to happen fast. And I think Brad Treliving has to call, acquire this guy for the second time in his career. And just this deal has to happen.
Yeah, the Calgary front office is going to have a long night ahead, because this guy is a highly sought after, as Mark said. Obviously, one of the better defensive defensemen in the entire NHL. It just kind of sucks that Calgary's in the situation they are, that they got to move on from guys like this just to kind of retool their team. And I think maybe we could see Toronto be the front runners for the Zadorov. Obviously, Treliving has the past in Calgary. We could really help him in this deal as well. And I really hope that we get to see this trade get done. Maybe tonight, maybe in the early morning, but we will let you know all the updates coming up on the Zadorov trade, because me and Mark really wanted to see it happen. I know a lot of you guys in the comment section want to see it happen as well. But with that said, we're going to get into everybody's favorite topic here, and that is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today goes to Rob. He says, Zadorov, 6'6", 245, tough as nails, hits, fights, blocks, shoots, clears the front of the net, hits, you can't teach that. Oh my god, that was a long comment of the day there, but everything you said there, Rob, was right. This is what Zadorov brings to the table, and hopefully this is what he brings to Toronto. We're gonna manifest it. If you gotta sleep with a spoon under your pillow tonight, do it. If you gotta, you gotta, any superstition that you have to do it tonight, so Zadorov gets to Toronto. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to go down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers. We're getting pretty close, so go down, hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed the least, make sure to check this video out that's popping up on your screen right now. But with that said, I've been KC alongside my co-host Mark Pye. Keep your stick on the ice.